What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Viall Files. Happy New Year. I hope you had a very happy and wonderful holiday season, a safe New Year's, and welcome to 2022. Fuck. Anyway, we got a fantastic episode. Let's kick this off with another exciting Ask Nick edition, and we have a great one for you. Boy, do we ever. Before we get into that, Allie and Amanda are with us. Quick, give me a 2022 New Year's dating resolution that you have. Something you want to do better or stop doing in your dating life.
Amanda, do you want to go?
Yeah, I want to date myself this year.
Ooh,
like
what's
in
that
addition
mean?
to anybody else, I want to be really intentional about spending time with myself and like caring for myself and like looking for the good in myself, because I think I'm sometimes a little too self-critical.
Do you think you have to do less dating other people to accomplish that, or are you going to be able to simultaneously do both?
I don't know. I feel like it's like to me it's like the busyness and then there's like the me time. And so I don't know that it's so much like other people, work, comedy stuff, etc. But yeah, I suppose, I don't know. Right now I obviously have googly eyes for someone, so I kind of only see myself dating someone right now, but who's to say?
Okay, Allie?
I've never enjoyed dating. I like to have anxiety attacks before going on dates. So I feel like just go on at least like one date where I just don't give a shit and try and not be anxious and not like overthink what I'm saying and just kind of like, you know, maybe it's more of an experiment than anything, but just like really try not to care.
I think that's great. Yeah. I think you guys know yourselves well.
Attitude.
Yeah. Well, you know, and maybe it's something we should all think about. Anyone listening, what are something we want to do? I mean, I'm not dating, but I guess in a relationship life.
Nick is like hoping that my resolution would be dating wedding boy, but
No, I've like moved on. You know, I actually prefer you to like more rapid date than lock eyes with one person. Take your swings. I'm going to try to be more romantic in my relationship. That's what I'm going to try to be. Get back to my roots.
Does that mean like
ideas?
Spontaneous stuff or
Probably.
just like...
I mean, I think all of the above. I think the pragmatic person in me, for self-preservation purposes, is, you know, like surviving my 20s and surviving Bachelor Nation has probably like sucked a little bit of the romance out of me. So, I mean, I'm not saying like I'm broken, but like I could probably,
not broken, just damaged.
Yeah,
we're on your arm.
There you go.
Damaged, not broken. Show it to the camera.
I could probably be a little bit better. So there you go. We have a great episode for you. Bachelor's back tonight.
Bachelor's back, baby.
We're breaking down Clayton season. So we'll see you tonight or tomorrow. And on Wednesday, we have Francesca Farrago with us, the very talented, wonderful, very captivating and interesting contestant, cast member of the very popular Too Hot to Handle.
Also, Married at First Sight.
Married at First Sight. I mean, just a legend in the reality TV dating space. So be sure to check that out. Thanks for listening, guys. We're excited to bring you a bunch of great new episodes and content this year. Thanks for listening to us. Here are your callers.
Question time with Nick. Let's ask Nick your sexy questions.
How's it going?
Good. How are you? So I'm in the middle of a love triangle.
Ooh.
It started out, I was dating a guy a few months ago who started dating a guy who was like the perfect match on paper. Tall, handsome, donates to charity, has a great relationship with his family, makes me feel valued, like everything I've ever wanted.
I'm curious. When did you find out he donated to charity? How old is he?
He's 33. He slid it in on the second date. I was like, okay, I see you.
Yeah, I see that as a red flag. But anyway, continue.
So we've been dating for a couple of months at this point, and then I go to a family's wedding and I see a guy from my hometown who we've never dated, but we've always like had a thing for each other.
Okay.
At this wedding, like we reconnect, get to know each other as adults, and his like
new guy. This is a different guy.
Yeah, this is a different guy. This
so
is a
in
guy
a
I've
love
known
triangle,
since kindergarten.
There's two guys, and you're. Oh, so it's not you and another woman. It's you and two guys.
No, it's me and two guys. Yeah.
Okay.
So
You're
this
the,
guy from
you're
my
the temptress.
hometown.
You're the temptress.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
All right.
We've known each other since kindergarten. Like we were just talking at this wedding. His mom pulls me aside and she's like, yo, why aren't you guys dating?
Did her mom say yo?
No, his mom said yo.
She said yo. She literally
she
said
said
yo.
yo. She's hip. Yeah. And
Okay.
she was like, you're the reason why he's still single. Like, just date already. I don't get why you're both single. Just do it.
Uh-huh.
And so at this point, I'm not thinking much of it. I'm just like, okay, whatever. We end up going out after the wedding and like we're talking more, we're dancing, we're going to the bar, and we end up having a really good night. And so as we end up leaving things, I like say goodbye in the elevator. A couple of weeks later, he texts me, asking me to go to another wedding. So we went, had a great time. We started dating now.
Your first actual date was a wedding.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I've known him forever. Like he's been my best friend. I helped him through a family trauma. Like our families are very close.
Sure. But your first date was a wedding.
Our first date was a wedding.
Okay. Just fine.
And since then, we've gone on more dates.
What happened to Charity Boy?
That's what I'm still dating Charity Boy at the same time. So Mr. Hometown lives like
how do you define dating?
An hour away. I define dating as like we're going on dates, we're seeing each other, we're being intimate. Like that's dating.
Are you having sex with both of them?
Yes.
Savage.
And
do they know about the other?
No.
You sure you don't want to be anonymous?
Maybe I want to be anonymous at this point. So I'm very conflicted because I'm at a point where emotionally speaking, I like both of these men. And obviously the guy I've known forever, we have a deeper connection that spans over 20 years. And this guy I've just started dating, we don't have that. I care about them both. And I'm very conflicted at this point.
How long has this been going on for? You met them both within how long of a period of time?
I've been dating this guy that lives in my city for the last 3 months, and Mr. Hometown showed up about a month and a half ago.
Okay. So Charity Boy had a month and a half head start.
Yes, he did.
Why can't you decide?
Because it's like a head and heart situation. My heart wants the guy I've known forever, and my head is like, is he the sound situation, or is he like something worth pursuing? Because I'm at the point where I don't want to keep dating both of them because it's taking an emotional toll on me.
Yeah. How often are you sleeping with these guys?
It's like once a week at this point.
You're sleeping with both of them once a week?
Yeah.
And neither of them have asked if you're like...
No. And I mean, Mr. Hometown, he did like declare his love for me a couple of weekends ago. He was like, I don't want to see anybody else. I just want to see you. And I was like, okay, cool.
What'd you say?
I was just like, okay, cool. I like you a lot. But like, we haven't had the exclusive conversation with either guy.
But he tried to.
You think that's him trying to?
What do you mean? Him saying, I only want to date you?
Well, it wasn't like that. It was like, I don't want to date anybody else. Like, it's just time for us to date each other.
Yeah. Okay. Semantics. Yes. He 100% is trying. Think of all the women who listen to this show who are just like, why won't he commit to me? And this guy's just like, I don't want to date anyone but you. Like, that's their like wet dream. And you're just like, Is he trying to define the relationship? I don't know. Because you're like having this other guy. You're just like, I got to fuck James on Thursday. Yeah. I don't know. What do you want me to help with? Like, what are we breaking it down here? Like what?
Yeah, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm stuck between the two, and it's like,
what are you having a hard time with? Like, I get the head and the heart, whatever. One you've known forever. What's your biggest concern with both of them?
Well, with like the guy that lives in my city, it's if I pursue him and cut the guy I've known forever loose, am I going to regret seeing like 2 years from now him getting married and like seeing all those posts on Facebook?
Okay,
is
for
that
the regret
hurt?
part, like you can't. Okay, so I'll try to help you make objective decisions. Is like you can't sit there and worry about regret because there's no like you can't. That's the whole point. You have to figure out what you want to do, but like I don't know, you might get it wrong, and and also you have to take whatever you decide. The person you let go. just know that no matter what happens with the person you decide to try to form a relationship with, that you let this person go, right? In a 50-50 shot, they lost. So compared to them with the rest of the world, like to immediately and go back, oh, I should have married the other guy. No, you shouldn't have. No, you wanted them less than the person who didn't work out with. So you just got to let that narrative, you make a choice, you accept it, you move on. Yeah, I mean, listen, if something happened, I guess you could always like try to date the other guy, but like also it most likely won't happen because yes, they'll be moved on and find someone else, and it would be a complete waste of your time to sit there and obsess over the one who got away because they didn't get away. You wouldn't know what it's like to actually date them. You didn't even like them enough to not sleep with someone else. Like, let's not glorify either of these relationships. You have found two guys that you like, neither of which have been good enough for you to give you a clear decision on what you want. And that's fine. And you might end up falling in love with one of them. But right now, neither of them are all that special to you. They're good. They're pretty good. They have a lot of potential, and you're happy about that potential. So let's not oversell it in the future if things don't work out the way you hope for either of these guys, right? So there's that. So like just take that stress off your, and let that go. Now, what do you like? What is your favorite thing that you like? What's your favorite and least favorite thing you like about each person? And I want you to, before you answer, about the person, not the situation. I don't care how long you've known either of them. I don't care what city they live in. I don't care about like what your friends might say. I want to know what your favorite and least favorite thing that you know so far about the individual.
So my favorite thing about the guy who lives in my city is that he makes me feel valued.
Okay.
And he really like listens to understand when we're in different conversations. And I think my least favorite part is he can come across a little cocky. Yeah. Like as most finance bros do. And that's how he comes
wants you
across.
To know he's donating to charity on date 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the guy I've known forever, I think my favorite part is I laugh so much when we're together. And probably the least favorite part is like the rap he has because he doesn't have a very good rapport with like the community. He's like known as the bad boy.
Why so? How so?
He's made some decisions in the past that has like gotten his name in the newspaper.
Like, ooh.
You know what I mean?
No, I don't know
but
what
not
you
like
mean. Like
in legal trouble.
Like what?
He just got in some trouble.
Explain.
There's been some like...
This is definitely going to be an anonymous call, by the way. So.
There's been some like incidences where like he's gotten in trouble with law enforcement, not enough to go to jail, but like the name has been in the paper for like public indecency. It was like back in college though. No, like naked walking down the street.
Whatever. Who's better in bed?
That's like the thing. I would say like the guy I've known forever, just because like we hooked up in college and there's we're familiar with each other.
Yeah, but like that's not much of a head start.
Yeah, but like he knows what I like and what I want, so.
But you like both.
Yeah, that's why I'm having such a hard time.
It's that time of year when everyone's thinking about how they want to make changes and improvements in their life with New Year's resolutions. And if you are, and wellness is a part of that at goal setting, think of Noom. That's right, because Noom has been helping a lot of people, including myself, meet their wellness goals with a more cognitive psychological approach, which is based in scientific principles like cognitive behavioral therapy, which better understand the relationship with food and build sustainable habits that last a lifetime. So, whether you want to lose weight, gain weight, just eat healthier, feel better, Noom is helping so many people meet the goals that they have. 75% of Noom users finish the program. Like we said, it's grounded in science. And, you hear me talking about shavings make a pile a little bit each day. Just 10 minutes a day go a long way to meeting those goals that you have for yourself yourself when it comes to your wellness. No need to fear ruining the whole program with a one-off day. Noom will help you get back on track. Noom understands that building long-term positive habits can be hard, and filling the gaps with ups and downs. That's why Noom believes that it's progress, not perfection, because everybody's journey looks different. So start building new, healthier habits today. Sign up for your trial at Noom.com/VIALL. That is Noom, NOOM.com/VIALL to sign up for your trial today. Martha Stewart and Marley Spoon teaming together to give you great tasting meals that are super easy to prepare, good for you, and most importantly, delicious. Premium, pre-portioned ingredients delivered right to your door. And for all you busy people out there that do not want to sacrifice taste or quality, think of Martha Stewart and Marley Spoon. They have great options for all tastes, diets, and lifestyles for every moment, including dinner, breakfast, and dessert. Ordering is easy and fully flexible. Subscription lets you skip, pause, or cancel anytime. Delicious and convenient meals are designed to be ready in 30 minutes with minimal cleanup afterwards. Whew, love that, minimal cleanup afterwards. They have great tasting meals. What more can I say? All their breakfasts, all their dinners, all their desserts are quality and certainly help me save time when I'm running out the door. I like to augment my own cooking with a little bit of Martha Stewart and Marley Spoon. If you're tired of grocery shopping and meal planning, sign up today at marleyspoon.com. Use code VIALL for $120 off your first 5 boxes. Once again, go to marleyspoon.com and use promo code VIALL to get $120 off and enjoy delicious meals from Martha Stewart every day of the week. Who do you think handles disappointment better?
I would say probably the guy that lives in my city, just because he's older, he's more mature.
No, it doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Yeah, but he's been around the block a couple times.
I'll tell you what, the charity thing bugs me. And the fact that this guy, and granted, it's like, I cut him some slack. He's on a date. He wants to impress you. He likes you. I get it. But, you know, I like people like that. And I'm really generalizing here. But the finance bro who likes to talk about his charity, like I would strike me as someone that it's good as long as you're on the good side. You know, you have an advantage with the guy you've always known because I assume on some level, you know what it's like to be on his bad side to a certain degree versus the new guy. I mean, you just know more about him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you know how the hometown boy fights or how he handles disappointment?
I mean, kind of. He's not really like a fighter. And like whenever like we've had conversations, we've been friends for years, like, I don't know. He just like cries and then gets over it.
Okay. What about the new guy?
I don't know. I've never seen him disappointed before.
Well, you could tell him you're sleeping with some other guy and see how he handles that. I mean, that's a serious question. Like, I'm curious. And this is just totally whoever you decide on. Do you plan on being honest with that person about what's been going on the past couple months?
I mean, if we're not exclusive, do I have to like divulge everything?
I don't know. It just depends on what kind of relationship you want.
I mean, in a perfect world, yes, I would. But I don't know if I would be completely honest because I would be afraid that it would hurt that person.
Well, part of a relationship is sometimes hurting the person you love the most, but being able to work through it. You can't avoid hurting the people you love. All you can do is try to be as upfront as possible. But you can confidently, it sounds like you know that you would be hurting both of them if they knew.
Yeah.
So I think you should stop sleeping with both of them until you figure it out. I don't know if you probably won't do this, but.
No, I want all of the advice because my friends, they are not giving me any. They're just like, live your best life, do both. That's not very good advice.
Yeah, live your best. Like, listen, if you you have the right to date, they haven't really drilled you, and if nothing else, if all you are is like casually sleeping with 2 different guys, hey, YOLO. But if you think that one or either of these guys has the potential to be your somebody, then I would prioritize starting off on the right foot. And you are starting off on the wrong foot with both of them. And neither of these relationships will work with whoever you decide if you can't get through some awkward and tough conversations about this. Now, the way to handle this would be to face it head on, knowing that you could lose both of them, but deciding to do the right thing as a result. And first I would make it, I don't know how you want to approach it. But you have to say, listen, I need to be honest with you. This is going to be hard to hear. And I obviously, we haven't defined anything, but I have been dating someone else. And I don't know if you have to I think you should just be upfront about that and then see what they ask. So if they ask you, well, have you been hooking up with them? You have to be honest. I've talked a little bit about this, but Nally and I, my girlfriend now, when we first met, we casually dated for about 9 months, right? And it kind of started as a hookup, but we kind of kept hanging out. And we were just very open about what we were or what we weren't. And so we knew that we were hooking up with other people. And to the point where we had conversations about it. And it wasn't always fun to hear. It was irritating, but we made our choices. Specifically, I made my choice. I didn't want to date. And so I wasn't in a position to tell her what she could or couldn't do. Weirdly enough, the way we handled it then makes me feel has helped our relationship now. Because there is such a level of confidence in our ability to be honest and upfront with each other. We feel like no matter what happens, there's nothing we can't talk about or avoid. We're not afraid of the other person losing their shit, right? It doesn't mean we're not afraid of upsetting, that doesn't mean we don't get each other upset sometimes, but we just have that confidence, because the worst thing I think you can have in a relationship is this fear of disappointing someone to the point where you justify being not fully honest because you're well, they'll get mad. And that's just not a way to have a relationship. It's just not. So I think maybe you could use this to your advantage. I think you have to acknowledge the fact that neither of these guys are so great that one's not outshining the other. And that might mean that maybe you're one of the few people who simultaneously has found two wonderful men, and you could be happy with either of them. Or more realistically, maybe neither of them are your guy. And you are only 27, this, why are you still single? Because you fucking want to be. I don't know. You're living your best life. So whatever his mom says, it doesn't matter. There's societal pressure, whatever. So you could use this opportunity to just see which one handles disappointment better. Which one can, and they're both going to be hurt, and they have a right to be hurt. They also have a right to be a little frustrated with you because you could have been more upfront and honest. But you haven't really committed a crime or a sin that is unforgivable because you haven't, there were no expectations around this. They've avoided asking specifics because they didn't want to know, So here you are coming clean. And I personally, whoever handles this better would be the person I would want to get in a relationship with, to be totally honest.
That makes a lot of sense.
I would just keep asking yourself questions, minus that, minus using this opportunity to see which one handles disappointment better. I would just keep making lists of, things about their character or what you know about them. And, tall, doesn't mean anything. His job doesn't mean anything to a certain level, how you feel around them matters. How, makes you feel heard and seen. You described the new guy, that stuff matters. And I would think long and hard about that stuff. And I would take any type of fairy tale, his mom being like, oh, you guys, it doesn't matter how long you know them, your story of how you met doesn't matter. And just try to make the right call, and then just own your decision and move forward and let the other person go.
Sounds good.
So, all right. Well, Godspeed.
Godspeed. Thank you so much.
Please follow up with us and let us know how you approach this and what was said and who you chose and if you are together in a month.
I'll let you know which one's less pissed off.
All right. Let us know.
I will.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. ShipStation. That's right. If you are shipping, you better be using ShipStation. I don't care if you are doing some minimal shipping out of your home or your business, or maybe you have a small internet business, or, like, as you guys know, Natural Habits runs on ShipStation. Shipping costs can be a significant part of any business, especially when you're shipping out the door. Customer service is also a key to any business, and ShipStation gives you the opportunity to get the same prices as Fortune 500 companies get for their shipping, and great analytics and metrics into your orders, so you can provide the best customer service to your customers. So whether you're shipping UPS, FedEx, SPS, you can easily compare carriers and choose the best solution every time. With ShipStation, small businesses can now access the same rates, usually reserved for Fortune 500 companies. Just use my offer code VIALL to get a 60-day free trial. That's 2 months free of no hassle, stress-free shipping. Just go to ShipStation.com, click on the microphone at the top of the page, and type in VIALL. That is ShipStation.com. Enter offer code VIALL. Make ship happen. How's it going?
Hi,
Hi.
I am well.
What's your name?
I am Eden.
Hi, Eden. How old are you?
I am 38.
How can I help?
Well, I just recently started. Well, I'm dating him now. So I just recently started dating a guy that has genital herpes.
Okay.
And I take my time getting into relationships, and I haven't been in a relationship or even dated anybody for a couple years. Something else is I've dated a lot in my life, and I have never had a sexually transmitted infection. And that's something that obviously is really important for me in my dating life. And it's been a question that I've asked. Like I ask every guy that I've been with, if they have one. So this is the first time I've experienced somebody having one. And so far I like him. There are things that like I would possibly like to have another kid. He has a vasectomy, like that kind of thing, isn't certain, it's not like a deal breaker, I guess I should say. But there's just a few things, but that I'm just like, I don't know if going further into the relationship is a good idea. And it's really because of the fact that he has this STI.
Okay.
I'm just curious what you have to say about it.
So you want to know if I think you should keep dating him?
With so far, like I said, when I first emailed,
but it says here, you're into him, and if you don't mind me reading, it says you want to fuck him really bad. You're like into him. You're turned on. Okay. So the temptation is there. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Big time. And like I said, it's been a couple of years since I've even dated anybody.
Okay.
And there's a lot of good stuff. Like it feels really good. And he's doing everything right,
Yeah. Well, herpes isn't a death sentence when it comes to relationships, despite the common misconceptions that are out there. And I will say, just for starters, like, I'm not a doctor or an expert, and I think everyone, who's listening to this, and including yourself, should, if you have real questions about the medical side, should consult with a healthcare physician about like your risks.
I did.
Yeah. Okay. So that's good, right? And then maybe you can share what you've heard as well. And correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but it's not a death sentence. I literally, like yesterday, I do my weekly questions like on Instagram, and someone asked me that same thing. It's just like, I like a guy, he has herpes, what should I do, kind of thing, right? So like, the point is, a lot of people are dealing with it. It is not like a niche STI. It is far more prevalent and common than people realize or want to know. there's a lot of misconceptions about type 1 versus type 2 versus like type 2 naturally is more common in the genital areas, and type 1 is more common in the oral area, your mouth, but they can overlap. And if you get one in the other place, it you might not have as many outbreaks and things like that. But it's still, either way, they're both considered herpes by doctors. If you have a cold sore, people are like, oh, I don't have herpes, I have a cold sore. It's like, no, you have you have herpes.
That's herpes.
So there's just a lot of ignorance and misconception around there. And given how many people out there have it, it just isn't the death sentence. So I think that's just important to know. I mean, again, I'm curious what your healthcare provider mentioned to you, but I'm under the impression that you said this person is taking, there's he's taking some sort of pill that suppresses the risk of him having an outbreak.
Yeah, he was. So he was doing it on the daily because
What's
it
that?
had been a while.
And what's that called? Is there a name for it? Or there is a pill?
I think one of them is Valtrex.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've heard that before.
So anyway, he's 48.
Okay.
And he hadn't had an outbreak in a while. And then probably due to COVID and all that, he started getting some outbreaks a couple years ago. And so that's when he got back on a daily suppressant.
Okay.
But now he's not doing that anymore because, it stopped. So I think he did it for a year, or a little over a year is what.
Sounds like this guy's been really open to you about his
I know, right? That's great. They all have
herpes.
been since I emailed you and, to this conversation. I definitely like him a lot more.
Okay. So you're a little bit more emotionally invested now, even since you've written in.
Yeah, I am. But there's still, like I said, I haven't dated in a while. This has always been really important in my life. Of course, obviously it's important to everyone, but the other, my biggest thing is that I'm not quick to fall in love, really fall in love. And so, I guess it's just weighing the good things with that. It's just,
that's ultimately what you need to do, right? I can't sit in here and tell you what you should do, and there's certainly a risk, and we had a caller a while back who was on your boyfriend's side, or this guy's side, who had contracted it, and certainly there's a really heavy stigma around it, and they struggle with it, and they told it from their point of view in terms of dating and what they should do, how they should approach it now that they contracted herpes and still wanted to date, and how do you go about that? And I sit there, I can't tell anyone, I can't tell you to dismiss it or not care. It would be valid for you to just say, I don't want to take that kind of risk. It's a risk. Can you get it and live with it? Sure. A lot of people do, but I can't tell you how to handle that. But a lot of people are in relationships with people who have it and haven't contracted it, but they do have to either take medication, they have to wear protection. These are things that you're not ideal. A lot of people are like, hey, listen, if I'm gonna be in a relationship, I don't want to have to wear a condom. People have that kind of thought process. But listen, you just have to decide for yourself. Are you willing to walk away from someone that you say you haven't dated in a while? You recognize, as I generally believe that as you get older, part of the why it feels harder to find people we connect with is because we're more selective, we're more particular. We have dated a handful of different people, and we realize what we don't like, so we don't bother dating people we've dated before that we know we're not going to work out with. So here you are, you've dated this guy that you're connecting with, you really like, and all things being equal, but you found out he has genital herpes, and you're grappling with that. So I mean, if I were in your position, what I would have the same fears and I'd have the same reservations and I'd be like, but if I really felt connected with this person, I wouldn't walk away from it on that alone. I would maybe refrain from being sexually active right off the bat. Like, you know what? I might wait to have sex a little longer than I otherwise would. Sure. Right. Because I want to spend more time getting to know this person. And then while I'm spending time to get to know this person, I'd keep, doing my research and learning about it and getting comfortable with talking about it. And then maybe talk about okay, if we ever had sex, what does that look like? What is our, and they're just going to have to be okay with talking about it. It sounds like he is. Sounds like he's pretty open about it. And that's really nice and great.
It's really attractive.
But yeah, I mean, you're just going to have to decide, but if he's that great in all these other aspects, there are so many people out there having wonderful, great, successful relationships and great sex lives with people who have contracted herpes and they haven't yet. And there's always a risk as they continue to have sex, but they can manage the risk and they can be smart and thoughtful. And you may always have to consider wearing condoms from time to time. And, obviously if you want to have kids again, there's a greater risk, of maybe not wearing a condom one time. And you'll just have to gauge that for yourself. But I mean, I can't tell you what to do, but a lot of people are accomplishing what you're considering trying to accomplish. So I don't know if that helps you at all. I imagine on Reddit or there's support groups where you may be able to find more information anonymously about people who are in relationships with people who had it and what was that like and how do they go about it. And, always jump into those a little careful
smart.
Because that can be a rabbit hole of information, but find someone who maybe has been in a similar position. But yeah, certainly if it doesn't work out and you take this risk and you sleep with them and you end up contracting it and then the relationship doesn't work out, it's not a fun reminder of when you break up with someone.
Yeah, and also is it worth it? Because I'm picky. So it's I don't know. It's just anyway. So it's is it really worth it? Because
I'd be willing to
how many
bet.
relationships last?
I mean, how many relationships have you had and failed?
I mean, to be totally honest, I've only had one, what I consider real boyfriend. I've dated people for even a year, but I wouldn't even ever consider them my boyfriend.
All right, let me ask you this. It's a hypothetical question, right? You don't know you're getting to know this guy. You don't know if he's amazing or perfect. You think you're really connecting with him. It's great, but there's no guarantees, right? But if I sat you down, I'm some genie in a bottle, and I'm like, all right, good news, bad news. Good news is everything you've ever wanted in a partner and how you've wanted to be loved, I can get you that. And I can get it to you for the rest of your life. You will, when it comes to love, never be wanting anymore. There's one catch. He's going to have herpes. And there's things you can go about it. And you have a 20% chance of someday contracting it. And if you get it, inconvenient, there's some health risks, but overall, millions of people live with it. They manage it, and it really doesn't alter their life all that much. And since you're always going to be in a relationship with this person, you don't have to worry about braving the dating world now having it.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that's not realistic, but I'm just curious.
I know.
If your perfect person had herpes, would you say yes to that scenario?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I would. But
right.
that's probably
it's still some
bigger holdup, right? Is that it's if it doesn't, then dating, what he has to go through, where it's he has to tell all of his partners.
Yeah.
And
well, realistically, he is, and that's awesome that he is the way he is, and it sounds like you would be too, but a lot of people don't know, and a lot of people don't communicate it like he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, more people, I don't think, know. like if you go
Totally.
if you go get a STI test and you don't specifically ask for, like if they just like swab you, like you're not getting tested for herpes. Most people don't realize
Right.
that. They have to draw your blood
I get tested
and test for your
for,
antibodies.
yeah, I get tested for everything.
Yeah. But
Every
like a
time.
lot of people will go and like they'll be like, oh, test me. And like unless you specifically ask for it, a lot of times they won't test you.
Right.
Part of it is because it's so common, they just don't, you know, just like if you've never experienced an outbreak, they won't do it. It's kind of,
Yeah, you have to ask. Because I do each
So a
time.
lot of people
Because
don't
I like to have unprotected
Yeah.
sex. So I get tested a lot, often.
Yeah.
So
and for that point, if you like having unprotected sex, that you could not date this guy and still get herpes.
I know.
So,
Right.
Again, it's more common than people realize out there. And if you're having unprotected sex with people, then,
Yes. Right. Yeah. I know. I've totally thought about all of that. And it's just weighing. I just wanted to hear.
Yeah.
what
I
you
mean,
had to
listen,
say.
I'll
Plus,
think,
my sister is like in love with your show, and she's like, call him.
tell your sister thank you. If you really like him, you're connecting with him, I don't think there's any harm in continue to get to know him, and you might have to hold out, and maybe you could have protected sex, and it's not as enjoyable as unprotected, but like, I think you're definitely minimizing your risk. I reserve the right to be wrong there. I don't know the percentages or whatever, but it certainly reduces your risk. He can get back on the medication. And yeah, I think it's definitely doable. He's the first person you've liked in a couple of years. And I don't think that's
even longer actually. And that says a lot.
I mean, all seriously, it might be, it's more likely you can get herpes from someone else than find someone that you connect with the way you're connecting with this guy. If it's been that hard. I mean, if we're just talking probabilities here, I don't know. Like that's a logical argument to be made.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
and he's really cool.
So I feel like if he's that cool, you can make it work and you can manage it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
But there's no guarantees.
So.
There's always risks.
No, I know. Yeah. Well, always. Right.
The only difference between this for you is that you know the risks. Sometimes most of the time, people get in relationships, there's risks. They don't even consider them. They just go, you have unprotected sex and get, pregnant with someone you barely know. And then, you decide you want to still want to have the kid, whatever, or there's always.
That happened. That happened to me.
So there you go.
Exactly that.
And you survived that. So.
Yeah. And thank goodness, because she's wonderful.
There you go. So. There's always, I feel like you should just at least keep hanging out with him and learn more.
Right. Which I'm going to. I guess it's just nice to hear somebody else's opinion.
All right.
And especially since this is what you do, talk about relationships. And
well, thanks for calling in. But yeah, maybe check out some support groups or like some Reddit threads of people who might be able to offer some additional insight of what more about like managing, like what a realistic sex life is with someone who is dating someone with it and who has successfully not gotten it up until this point.
Right. Yeah, I think that is a good idea.
All right. Well, I think we got an answer.
All right.
All right. Well, good luck.
Thank
I
you.
hope it all works out. How's it going?
Good. Hi, Nick. I'm Amanda. I'm 26. How are you?
Good. How can I help?
Good. So I started dating this guy about a year ago. He broke up with me by ghosting me in April. So we didn't talk for about 2 months.
How long did you date for?
A year.
And then he just disappeared?
Yeah.
Like one day you were talking. Okay, that's ghosting.
Right. Wouldn't answer my calls, wouldn't answer my texts, and I did not want to be that person to like show up at his house. But almost went there.
Understandable.
Um,
Yeah, it's human.
yeah. So 2 months later, he messages me and he's like, hey, you know what? I'm really sorry. I just wasn't prepared for this relationship. Sends me this big, long message, basically like begging me to come back. And
He
I
wanted
was
you
really
back.
yes. And saying like he messed up, he really loved me, all this stuff. And obviously I was really hesitant because of the experience that I had. But there I am being dumb. And I go, yeah, that's fine as long as you like promise not to do that to me again. Like that really hurt me. So as long as that doesn't happen again, I agree to work on things. And so we work on things for about 4 months. And fast forward to September, where he does it to me again, no surprise. Except this time he does it a little bit differently, where what I like to call breadcrumbing. So like he would message me like big long paragraphs about like how he loved me, how he wanted to be with me. And then if I would respond, he wouldn't say anything. So he would just leave me on red. And he would do this for probably like a week and a half. And to where I finally just figured he's doing it for his own ego. I'm not going to respond because what's the point? So I left it and I figured obviously he's on like some sort of like, I don't know, ego kick where he still does care about me. He just like doesn't know what to do. So I was like, I'm just going to leave him where he is and I'm going to continue on my life because I just kind of wanted to be single and not be like had my head messed with. So 2 months later, I go out with this guy and it's a mutual friend. It's not a date, but we go to this bar where we're supposed to meet up with other friends. And we're sitting there and it says to me like, oh, so and so is texting me to go out. And it turns out that it's my ex and his friends. And he's like, we should go to that bar. Now, this guy does not know that me and my ex dated because he was in from out of town and he was not in town when all of this occurred. So he is kind of like completely out of the loop. So he has no idea what he's like asking me to do right now. So he's like, we should go to the bar with them. And I'm sitting there like, I didn't want to make it uncomfortable. So I was like, yeah, just like let them know that you're with me, like give them a heads up. So he does. And immediately this kid's phone starts blowing up and they are telling him, you need to leave her, just dine and dash on her. Just tell her you have to go to the bathroom. Like, trust us. We know her. We know who she is.
How do you
like,
know they're saying all this?
He actually handed me his phone and I was reading the text messages as they were coming in because he didn't know what to do. And granted, that is an uncomfortable position for somebody random.
Was he like, how close was he with these guys?
Not very close at all. So like just kind of like hung out like maybe 1 or 2 times. So
Gotcha.
like not super close. So he's looking at me and I'm looking at him and I'm like, I don't even know what to say right now. He's like, what did you do to them? And I'm like, oh, great. I'm going to have to like explain the whole story. So then I kind of just give him like a small like snippet of what happened. And I was just like, but I didn't know we were all on bad terms. I thought we were good. So I'm not really sure like why that's there.
Well, I'm curious about, let me interrupt for a second.
Yeah.
I'm curious about why you are on bad terms and it's his fault from your version that I'm hearing. So
yeah.
Why, when you're sitting with this guy and your ex and his friends text and you said, well, let them know you're with me. I really hated that answer for you.
I know. And I believe me,
hindsight being 2020, what would you have said with the benefit of hindsight?
I probably wouldn't have even said anything. Like I probably just would have left that alone because if I'm saying, let them know you're with me, then I'm kind of also egging it on in a way.
Sure, well, you're also like asking for their permission. You're kind of giving away your power. You're suggesting and implying that like, if they're cool with me, I'm cool with them. And I'm just like, you have no reason to be cool with this guy. I'm not saying you should like hold a grudge, but you like, it would have been totally reasonable and normal for this guy to say, hey, listen, well, small world, this is super awkward. That's my ex. And like, honestly, like, I don't want to say it ended messy, but he just basically ghosted me twice, and I don't want to deal with that. So like, if you want to go, that's totally cool. We don't owe anything to each other, but I'm just gonna respectfully bow out. And you could have like acted unbothered and above it all, but also it would have been totally reasonable for you to just say, I don't want any part of that, right? And then you would have been in total control of that situation. And then you could have just pieced out, or that guy, or you could have just given that guy the opportunity to say, you know what? I don't really know those guys. I'm not that good friends with them. Fuck it. Like, let's just keep hanging out and do our own thing. There's a good chance he probably would have said this. I mean, I'm guessing he would have said that, seeing that he was so willing to show you all these texts. This wasn't like this guy like, oh, it's my bros, and I got to like protect my bros.
Right.
And, So, yeah, I just would have loved for you to like handle it that way. And like, again, it's fine as you named it. Don't pretend it doesn't bother you. Don't act like the cool chick who's like, you can just say like, yeah, I don't want any part of that. And, and here's why.
Yeah,
and it's a total reasonable explanation. And you don't avoid naming it. You don't pretend it didn't happen. You just say that you don't want to deal.
Yeah, I guess I was just so like hooked on trying to be like cordial and nice that I was just uncomfortable and I didn't know how to handle the situation.
Nice to who?
To my ex and his friends, who I probably shouldn't have been nice. I don't know.
Also, like, you weren't even being rude to them. Like, you didn't even know. You're not even worrying about whether this guy would even relay that information. He might. You don't know. You don't really know him. You're just talking to him. Why were you even thinking about like what your ex would hear or his friends? Why were you giving, again, away so much of your power and energy about like, you were like circumventing this conversation you needed to have with the guy in front of you, all while immediately worrying about what they might think and feel once they hear whatever it is they were going to hear.
Yeah. And I guess like I wish, and even now knowing what I know, I wish that I would have handled it differently, because the guy was super nice about it. And he was like, I'm going to stay, like, cause he could kind of see it on my face where I was like visibly upset. So he's like, it's okay. Like I came here to hang out with you. I'm going to stay with you. And he actually did stay with me and it was fine. And we didn't talk about it again because I'm like, I'm not bringing that up. So then the next day, another mutual friend of me and my ex's calls me and he says, hey, Amanda, just so you know, like there's this group chat that is with your ex and his friends where they're sharing your TikToks, your Snapchats, your Instagram posts, your Facebook posts, all of it. Now, keep in mind, my posts have nothing to do with relationships or anything like that. They're very just like...
but all your stuff is public, yeah?
Yeah.
So they're just mocking you.
Yeah. And
why is he telling you this?
I really didn't know. And I kind of just said, like, I didn't know who was sending the information. I don't know why. And he said, well, they're kind of giving him shit for dating you. And I'm like, who cares? Like, why is it even a conversation? Like, that's stupid. We're too old for this. So then he says the sentence, which is similar to what you just said. He said, you're giving them too much power. You're giving him too much power. And he's going to keep walking all over you as long as he can because he feels like he can.
Well, hold on. But he's talking to you like you're still... Who is this random person? Like, but this random person is talking to you as if they're worried about you still entertaining the ex.
Yeah. And that's how I guess
valid?
That's kind of like, no, I have not talked to him in like probably 3 or 4 months. And he texted me on my birthday, which was like a couple weeks ago. And he said, happy birthday. I hope you have the most wonderful birthday. And I'm still thinking about you all the time.
Did you reply?
And I just gave it a thumbs up because I was like, I'm not like, I don't want to be rude and ignore it. But at the same time, I like, don't really want him to think that I'm engaging in a conversation with him. And
next time, just ignore it. I mean, like, you just need to cut this guy completely off. And like, it's
I
weird that
know.
this random person's telling you this, and like, I'm sorry you had to hear that because no one likes to hear about being mocked. But like,
Mhm.
it's not like they're like exchanging like personal information. They're
Right.
just
And
laughing at your. I mean, I'm sure there's probably like group chats of people laughing about my Instagram and TikTok. So like, whatever, join the club. You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? So like, whatever. Like, it's
Mhm.
hard to hear, but like, it's really not your problem. It's more their problem.
Yeah, and that's why I honestly like privated all my accounts, and I went through and I figured like I probably should not block the people who are following me that are friends with him. So I just removed them as a follower because I was like, I don't want them to think I blocked them. I just would like to do that instead so they can't see my stuff. And it seems like things have calmed down quite a bit. But like, my question for you was, number one, how do I stop playing this game that they think that I'm playing, even though I haven't talked to them? And then number two, like, if his friends,
what makes you think you're playing a game?
well, I guess because of that random person that called me and he said that I am stuck in this game that
Unless
I don't
there's
know that I'm
something you're
stuck
not
in.
telling me.
No, I mean, I'm not. I've really taken the time since this breakup. I've really taken it as a lesson and trying to be single and trying to find what I want in life, because I do not want somebody to do that to me again because it was so hurtful. I mean, and I always listen to your podcast and I laugh because I'm like, oh yeah, we really did the whole playing house thing. Like, we really did. But at the same time, I really think this guy led me on to believe that a life was possible and that like he really wanted to have a long-term relationship with me, but I really don't think he ever did want that. So he set the standard of, I want this and this is what it's going to look like, and then took it away with the same token, I guess. And it messed me up so bad that I'm like, I don't want to date for a while until I'm sure that there's a person that's right for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, next time, take people at face value. Listen, I got ghosted once by my first girlfriend, took her back. So like, I can't sit there and criticize you for that. But, just recognize in the future not to give people second chances they don't deserve. So there's that. I mean, I can't promise you'll never get ghosted again, but like, hopefully not. And that's a pretty extreme thing, Look out for people who are just big talkers, who overpromise and underdeliver. That would be a sign that they are capable of doing it to you.
Yeah.
But other than that, but like, as far as this, unless you're not telling me something, like, again, the power of indifference. It doesn't matter. I mean, like, I made a joke about like, could be people out there, having group chats about my TikTok and Instagram, and I'm fully aware that there's bachelor subreddits and things like that, right? And it's just like, I don't care. The only time that shit bothered, like, I was talking, the grocery store Joe came over, and this weekend we were chatting, and we were talking about if like you ever check your like DMs, your like other side, and I'm like, yeah, sometimes I do for like work purposes, but I try not to, because all it is this access to comments and opinions that really you don't need. It's just a mental health issue. And it's just like, as long as it's out of sight, out of mind, it doesn't have anything to do with you. Right. So it sucks that this person told you this. There's all you can do about that. But like, you don't have to do anything. You just have to keep not caring. And the only note I would give you is that, like, who gives a shit what they think? So if blocking them helps protect you, like, I think you should block them all. Because if they were literally, I mean, imagine you blocking them all and them deciding to go out of their way to create a fake account and still go on your page to pull your content and still make fun of you. And this is way more about them than it ever says about you. And honestly, not that you need to know that, but like, that is not your concern. What it is, they do this, so just stop giving them access to you. It takes no energy to block someone.
Yeah. And I think that I am scared to block people because I've had like very negative reactions to when I've done that before, where people are like, oh, she's crazy, she blocked me and all this stuff. And
well, again,
so
I mean, the rule, again, if you've heard me, like, when you block someone, you shouldn't be thinking about what they say. It is not for them. It's for you. And you only block someone because you've reached a point with someone that like, I need to like remove access from this person stop giving them access. It affects my mental health. It affects my day-to-day. They can think I'm crazy. They can think whatever the fuck they want. So I don't give a shit what they think about me anymore. I truly want them not to be a part of my life. And that's why you block them. And it's a very valuable tool. And so you need to stop thinking about what they're going to think.
Yeah. And then I guess like my next question is like, what do I do when his friends do like make comments or try to talk to me? Like I just ignore it or just say like,
why would you interact with them? Who are they? Like, are you like,
they're really like, no,
I feel like you're not telling me something like, you guys.
No, I promise
like,
you.
Why
I'm
would you,
everything.
why? I mean, I don't know where you live and maybe there's some mutual friends, but like, how hard is it to not engage with certain people? Do you work with any of them? You work with them?
I work with their friends. Yeah. And like
his friends.
So I don't have to like engage with them at all. But
wait, you work with these people you know are mocking you. So go to HR. I mean, that's harass. Isn't that it's harass? Like you're being harassed.
Yeah, but the only reason why I wouldn't is because I have no proof. I just have somebody's word. You know, if I had actual like proof that it was happening or if more people told me about it, then I might take it to HR. But if it's just some person,
what do you do for work?
Third party. I work from home for a business development company.
So you work from home. So you don't even see them all that much.
Yeah, not at all. So like one of them messaged me today and just was like, "Hey, how are you?" And
one of his friends?
Yeah, just actually 10 minutes before this call. Yeah, he messaged me and he said, "Hey, how are you?" And I just didn't respond because I don't.
Was it work related?
No.
Just ignore him.
Yeah, I just ignored it because I'm like, if I keep feeding into these people, they're gonna think that it's okay to be my friend. And what I've very much understood is that they're his friends, not my friends, even though I knew some of them before I started dating him. And you know what? I don't believe in picking sides during a breakup. That's not how I am. But like, it's also like the guys will stick with the guys. They're not going to pick the girl's side. And that's fine. There's no really sides to pick in this situation. He ghosted me. I'm moving on with my life. I'm not.
But just make sure you're not talking about it. Do you talk about this with people at work?
No, not at all. Because I didn't want anybody to like repeat it. So I don't really talk about it with anybody anymore. Just like my close friends. And I've even tried to stop talking about it with them.
How old are these guys?
26.
Okay, not that young. Yeah, I would just, again, continue to, like, the fact that you work with them, you work from home, like, just, unless you are forced to talk to them for some work-related thing, just ignore them.
Yeah.
And if they confront you about it, just be like, I don't know. Until you have to talk to him, just ignore him.
Yeah.
He probably, if it was like a, hey, how are you? He probably reached out because maybe they feel bad or guilty or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I could see a world where your ex said some shit and they were just trying to be all bros. And then maybe they felt like they were being mean. I don't know. And I wouldn't waste any energy of yours trying to figure it out. I would just remove all access they have to you and just move on from this guy.
Yeah. So I guess like I just wanted to know, like, would I be a crazy biatch if I blocked them? But no. I mean, no, I guess I'm not. I guess it's valid.
Why? What makes you think you're crazy in any of this?
I guess for a while I felt crazy because I did try to call him after he ghosted me. And I just kept like calling and texting. So like the fact that I was reaching out and he wasn't saying anything is what made me feel crazy.
Listen, getting ghosted can really suck, and like ghosted like you did. And I am sure there are moments, if you thought back, you probably feel a little embarrassed or crazy by like how much you tried to get a hold of them, right? But like, A, that's a human response to being ghosted. B, you just have to accept it and move on, and don't let him use it against you if he is. Like, again, you know, you're not, who gives a shit about this guy in the relationship anymore, right? It's over. You just got to move on. And in the future, yeah, like, feelings are, the more we talk about, like you mentioned, I felt like I was losing my sanity and like gaslighting. We've had all these conversations, and like, it's tricky because when feelings are involved, people are like, I feel this and you feel that. And it's just like, miscommunication is very easy to have, right? But either way, this guy just sounds like a dick. I mean, like everything you're saying sounds, and I'm not saying you were perfect, and I don't know, I wasn't there while you guys were fighting or what was going on. It doesn't matter anymore. And I'm sure there were times, if you want to think back and like realistic and be like, I could have handled this better, I could have handled that better, but like I had the right for my feelings to be validated, then yeah. But more importantly, I think you just need to stop. I mean, the only thing I'm picking up on is that you keep saying you're done, but clearly you're still investing a lot of energy, I think, in this guy more than you want to admit. I think you just need to figure out how to just completely drop thinking about this, despite it being hurtful, despite like him saying a lot of things to you that felt like he was attacking your sanity, or you felt like you had to defend something, and he sucked. So, if you want to talk to a therapist about it, that would be normal, right? But I think you need to stop giving you're still giving this guy and his friends a lot of energy and a lot of yourself, and you got to try to stop doing that. And so, if you want me, like, it doesn't sound like you're crazy at all, and it sounds like he's a dick, and I think you just need to, you're at this point, it is a little bit of your ego trying to justify that you're not crazy. It's a little bit of like, because I feel like that you're not, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
And yet what you want is for him to say that too, and that's just your ego. As long as you believe it, that's what matters.
Yeah.
But him validating you, that's your ego.
Yeah.
But I still think you're searching for a little bit of that, to be honest.
And there's probably part of me that is, and I think that's part of the reason why I want to, or why I try to stop talking about it, at least to like friends and stuff, because in my mind, if I stop talking about it, I can deal with it on my own and stop reaching for the opinions of people who are probably tired of me talking their ear off.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think that if I like fully allow myself to deal with it, then I'll be fine. But I think part of me is still pretty angry. And
I get it. But, so maybe stop talking to your friends about it if you want to talk with a therapist about it, but also like challenge yourself to accept that it was not good for you. He was not good for you. The relationship wasn't good for you. You're thankful for being out of it. You're not crazy. That he did a lot of hurtful things to you. And getting him to apologize or see your side or validate to you that you're not crazy is something that is just giving him more of you and your energy. And it's just your ego. You don't need that to move on. You don't need that to find someone else. You're hanging on to that. And you got to challenge you got to challenge yourself to not do that. And again, I say that from experience. Like a lot of what you're saying, I really empathize with, like, from the ghosting to like exhausting friends to like still being in it mentally, even, like I really do. But you really got to challenge yourself to let go, because you haven't totally let go. Control the things you can control at a minimum. And you're not controlling all the things you can control right now. And you need to challenge yourself to do that. And step one is to block him and his friends and not worry about what the fuck he thinks. Remain blocking him. Stop wondering if he's going to reach out. Stop seeking his validation. And you can do that. You are capable of doing that now. You just haven't chose to.
Yeah, I have to man up a little bit here and just, do it.
Yeah. All right.
Well, thank you.
The choice is yours, and that should make you feel good.
Well, thank you, Nick. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today.
All right. Take care. All right. Best of luck.
All right.
Block them.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
All right.
You better
bye.
do it. All right. Bye. Thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget to check us out for The Bachelor Recap, Francesca Farrago on Wednesday. Send in your questions at asknick@castmedia.com, cast with K, and we will see you tomorrow. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Before you go, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss any future videos like our Tuesday Bachelor recaps and Wednesday celebrity and expert interviews. See you next time.